All right, folks. Well, like I said, I'm not here today, and I wanted to do a screencast, but I don't have a calculator on my laptop. So now you get to see me standing in front of my phone camera teaching you. So here we go. Listen to this up. Do your work. Yeah, be good. Stuff like that. So anyways, we're going to talk about more factoring, and in particular, we're going to talk about how to use your calculator to solve these, which I teach you a different way than your book does, so you may need to pay attention. So if you had an equation like this, you would go ahead and factor it. You could use your AC method, and AC is -6, B is -1. So numbers that multiply to get you -6 and add to get you -1 would be -3 and 2. So when you go to factor, you're going to take the -3, divide by 3, and that'll get you sine x minus 1. And then you're going to take the 2 and divide by 3, and that's not going to reduce. So you get 3 sine x minus 2, and this is all equal to 0. So what you need to do is, just like we did yesterday, set each of these equal to 0 and solve. So we've got sine x equals 1, and you've got sine x equals 2/3. This is no problem. This is on your unit circle. So you can go to your unit circle, you can look for where sine is equal to 1, which happens to be in radians, pi/2. Correct. This is a bit of a problem. This is not on your unit circle. So we have to go to our calculator. The way I'm going to teach you to do that is to open up your calculator and go to y equals. We're actually going to graph this. So if you go, maybe, into y equals, and you clear out anything you've got in there, and in y1, you're going to type in sine x, and then y2, you're going to type in 2/3. Before you graph it, you need to do two things. Number one, you need to check your mode. Am I in radians? No, I need to be in radians because the problem requested answers in radians. Number two, you need to check your window. You are only looking for answers between 0 and 2 pi. So when you set your x window, you only want to see between 0 and 2 pi. And then this is a sine curve, so it waves up and down, which means it oscillates between -1 and 1. So I'll leave my y's at -2 to 2, and then that should give me a good picture of what the graph looks like. So when I graph this, I've got my sine curve popping up here in blue, and then in just a second, you're going to see 2/3 pop up here, and there's 2/3. So you want to know what these two intersection values are. So all you do is you go to your calculator, second trace, excuse me, that was alpha trace. Let's try second trace. And you want to calculate the intersect, number 5. So you trace over until you get to one of them, enter, 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 and you would write down one of your x values is 2.412. And then you can do it again, second trace, intersect, go over to the other one. Eventually you'll get there. And 1, 2, 3. And you've got the other one is 0.730. Alright, so those would be your 3 answers. 1, 2, 3. So that's how you solve these with the calculator. So when you have a value that's not on the unit circle, you revert to your calculator, you graph, find intersection points, and calculate them using second trace. Let's take a look at least one more, and then I'll wrap this up. Tangent. Okay, so if I factor this tangent one, I'm going to have tangent x minus 2, tangent x plus 2, and tangent x minus 1. All right, so that's not bad. Tangent x equals -2. Tangent x equals 1. This is on your unit circle. We're in radians again, so x equals pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. Hooray. That's not on your unit circle. Now, something to keep in mind, tangent can be equal to anything. Any y value is met by tangent. So, when you go to graph this one, you go back to your calculator, you go back to y equals, you're going to change your sign to a tangent, and you're going to change your -2/3 to -2. Now, when you look at the window again, number one, we're still in radians because we're still 0 to 2 pi. When you go back to the window, I can only see down to -2, and that's what I'm looking for. I've got tangent as one of my y's and -2 as my other y equation. So I'm probably going to need to expand this just a little bit, and I will go -3 to 3. So now when I graph it, I should see all my tangent curves. There's half of a tangent curve. There's another tangent curve. You're going to see the lower half of another one pop up over here. And I'm going to look for -2 cutting across the graph. So just like the last time, once you see these two intersection points, you go second trace. You're going to calculate the intersect. And in this case, as long as you're on the right branch of tangent, it should calculate the right value no matter how close you are. Yeah, so one of the values is x equals 2.034. And do it again. Second trace 5. And go to the other branch of tangent. And it's quicker if you down arrow and trace across. We'll get there. Almost there. All right, close enough. 1, 2, 3. And the other one is 5.176. So again, 4 solutions on this one. 2 from the unit circle. Same issues even when I'm not in class with you guys. And 2 from your calculator. Okay. Last one here. And then you guys can get after your homework. This one is not set up quite right because I need to subtract the 4 to get it set equal to 0. Going to do an AC method again. So my AC is -8, my B is 7. Numbers that multiply to get me -8 and add to get me +7 are 8 and -1. I'm going to divide each of those by 2, and I'm going to get sine x, this is going to be +4, and I'm going to get 2 sine x minus 1. All right, so when I go to solve, sine x equals -4, and sine x equals 1/2. All right, this one's on the unit circle, hooray. So x is going to be, sine is 1/2 at, we're in degrees now, so 30 degrees, 150 degrees. This is not on the unit circle. However, it's also not a solution. Why is it not a solution? That's right, because sine has to be between -1 and 1. So this has no solutions resulting from it. Your only answers to the question are that. You didn't even need to use a calculator to do it. Your assignment is going to be a worksheet that hopefully Mr. Shores has passed out to you. Not all of these are going to require your calculator. Some of them will be on the unit circle, and that's just fine. Some of them you will have to use your calculator. Some of them are going to have answers that don't, or terms that don't result in answers because they are outside of the range of sine or cosine or whatever you're working on. So give that a go. Hopefully that was helpful. See you tomorrow.